Buenos and half a day, the Committee on Environment, Revenue, and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning is calling this virtual public hearing to order. It is now 9 a.m. Thursday, November 9th, 2021. Notice of this morning's virtual hearing was provided via email and information to senators, stakeholders, and the local media November 1st, 2020, went to 5 notice, and November 7th for the 48-hour notice, thus meeting the requirements of open government law. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues here today, Senator Tony Ada.
Good morning.
Good morning. The purpose of this public hearing on the executive appointment of Mr. Toves to serve as a member of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. Note that bills number 190-36 and 192-36 were postponed until further notice. Committee will receive testimony until 4 p.m. Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. Please address the testimony to Senator Sabina Perez, Flores Perez, Chairperson of the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor, Procurement, Statistics, Research, and Planning, or it can be dropped off the mailbox of the Guam Congress Building or emailed to the office at senatorperez.org. So rules of conduct are as follows. The host of the hearing will mute all participants until called upon by the chair. Virtual background should not be utilized during the hearing, and participants' face must be visible at all times. When called to speak, please ensure that you're unmuted and that you're speaking into your microphone. Order of questioning starts with the chairperson, followed by my colleagues. Individuals testifying shall be first recognized and shall state their names for record-keeping purposes. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to character or motive of the senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. So now to begin our agenda, to hear testimony of the executive appointment of Mr. Edward S. Toves to serve as a member of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board. The Alcoholic Beverage Control Board consists of 5 members who are appointed by the governor with the advice and consent of the legislature. The board has the power to license the importation, manufacture, sale of alcoholic beverages, and to suspend, revoke, or reinstate such licenses. Every member of the ABC board and every compliance inspector has a power to enforce the laws on alcoholic beverages. Notices were sent to Department of Revenue and Taxation. And so we do have here Deputy Lizama to provide testimony. We also did receive written testimony from 2 individuals in support of the nominee, Tim Puzon, who's from I believe the Guam National Guard, and then John M. Kanata from the Airport Authority, both in favor. So now I'd like to first recognize anybody here who's coming to testify on behalf of the nominee. And so I would like to now invite those first before we get to the nominee himself. So we have here Deputy Director Marie Lizama. So you're recognized. Good morning, Ms. Lizama.
Hi, good morning, Senator. Good morning, everybody. I really actually just wanted to attend the public hearing for observation. I do not have actual commentary at this time.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Deputy Director. So at this point, we would like to now recognize, first of all, Senator Joann Brown, who's logging on. Welcome, Senator Brown. So at this point, I would like to now acknowledge, or at least open the floor to the nominee himself to provide any testimony. Mr. Toves, welcome.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. First of all, I'm happy that I'm able to assist in any way, shape, or form. Assist the government of Guam. I did 32 years working for the government of Guam, and so I'm retired, and I'm also retired from the Guard. And should the government of Guam need assistance from me, then I'm willing to assist. First of all, I do have the years of experience I've been members of several boards. I've never been a member of any control board for the government of Guam, but as an employee, I've been a member for different types of boards. Most of all, the selection board for promotions within the Air National Guard, enlisted promotions, as well as the during the government of Guam, I was a multiple member. Multiple times I've been a member for a selection board, whether it be selecting a manager or selecting a candidate for a deputy marshal, or being a board member for selecting a candidate for a probation officer. Being in law enforcement, I do have exposure to the law. I do not know the current law, the ABC law, but it's very simple for me to be intimate with it. So I'm sure that you guys, I don't know if you have my background there, but if there's any questions, of course, I'm willing to answer. Again, I'm willing to assist government of Guam should they need help with enforcing the ABC board or the ABC law. That's about it. If there's any questions, I'm open for it.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Toves. I just want to make a correction. Mr. Puzan is from the Air Force, so my apologies for that mistake. So I guess moving on to the questioning part. So I understand that you are retired and you accepted the nomination because you wanted to assist with the government, and knowing that you did mention that you are not familiar with the law itself. So what's, I think, really critical is, getting to know the law, because as ABC board, this is something that you have to uphold. You have to uphold the laws of Guam. In fact, you can also enforce them as a member of the board. I know your martial background might come in handy in that case. But in regards to, yeah, this is very critical to know the law itself. And you mentioned, when we talked the other day, so you were looking at the law, and was there any portion, what exactly do you understand from the law itself and your responsibilities? Are you up to, how would you determine if, this board is very active in regards to licenses, and, what would you, in your decision making, how would you decide whether to renew a license or not?
Well, of course, the law is going to regulate applicants, and the law is going to regulate the consumption of alcohol beverages, as well as the ability to serve alcohol beverages. But how would I base myself as far as determining whether or not an applicant is suitable for, or an applicant's application is ready for approval? Is, of course, we need to learn if the applicant has any historical negative any negative incident that may have occurred, and make sure that the applicant's establishment fits the standards that's in accordance with the law, and make sure that the applicant's employees are abiding by the law itself. For example, to ensure that the applicant understands that there's an age requirement, or there's an on and off premises alcohol consumption law, ensuring that all the requirements that an applicant submits is all there for favorable approval. Or if it's not, then of course the applicant would be respectfully advised that his application is not accepted, and he should go back to the drawing board and resubmit.
Okay. All right, so, okay, so basically you would look at their history as well as look and see if it's connecting with the law itself.
Correct.
Underage drinking is not, yeah, to see if they had any instances. In regards to any issues that you see in the community, what are some ways, what are some things that the board can do to address, or what are some of the issues you see with alcohol, the sale of alcohol, and what are some ways that the board can address any of these issues if you do see them?
Well, I've actually haven't seen any issues, but I actually suspect that maybe there's some establishments that sell alcohol to legal age people who thus in turn provide the alcohol to minors. I would think that constant education to the establishments that sell alcohol beverages, as far as reminding them about the law in regards to the sale of alcohol. Yes, thank you, Senator.
As far as, okay, so the other questions that I have is, this board meets pretty regularly, twice a month, I think, is their frequency. Are you committed to being present and participating in these meetings?
Yes, after our conversation yesterday where they meet twice a month for about an hour or an hour and a half, I firmly believe that I do have the time for that.
Okay, and then as far as conflicts of interest, do you have any conflicts of interest as being a member of the board, should the legislature confirm? Do you have any conflicts of interest?
No, I don't. If I do, then I would inform, whether I would inform the senators or I would inform the board.
Okay. All right. All right, so, okay, I think that's my questions for now. So I'd like to open the floor to my colleagues, Senator Tony Atta.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Toves. How are you doing, sir?
Morning, Senator. I'm fine. How about you?
Doing good, thank you. Just like to thank you for your, acceptance of the governor's nomination to the ABC board, and I hope that you give all your, your foresight into how you would like to see, the board expand its, its responsibility, or as a matter of fact, enforce what is currently by law. And perhaps maybe that would be my question: is what would you like to see in the near future, or in long term, where the board would go, and what kind of changes that you would like to see happen during your time on the board?
Well, first of all, I need to learn the process, and of course, I need to know the law intimately, and I would see if the process could be improved, or anything that's a gray area in the law, if that could be improved. And of course, I'll generate that information as to why to the senators. Certain laws should be amended for the betterment of the island. And Yeah, I need to study the process first, and then come up with ideas that could improve it. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that, and I hope that your time on the board, you'll be able to make those improvements or changes, or adapting to new standards or bringing in new standards, whatever it may be. But it's always good to see fresh faces on these different boards and commissions. So I hope that we'll be able to get your nomination onto the next session agenda so that we may be able to vote on it and give the board the compliment that it needs to ensure that it's enforcing its duties and responsibilities to the people of Guam. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, Tazuz Masi, Senator Ada, Senator Joann Brown, if you have any questions for the nominee, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and certainly thank you to Mr. Toves for his interest in wanting to sit on the and serve on the ABC board. I also wanted just to ask him with regards to, is this the first board or commission that you are serving in, Mr. Toves, or have you served in any previous boards in the government of Guam?
Yes, Senator, this is the first time I've ever served in a board, or I have been nominated to serve.
Well, that can be a very good thing. I had heard you with your response to Senator Ada about what you would look to do on the board, but are there things you observe? Because Gov Guam doesn't have the most exceptional record, and seeing your background, having worked in the judiciary, maybe a little more order there, but Gov Guam sometimes doesn't always have the history in terms of follow through and consistency in following the rules and requirements that are there and the laws that are put out there. With regards to ABC boards, is there anything in particular that you've observed as a resident in our community that you feel can be improved on the ABC board, and why this board in particular? Certainly with your background, I'm sure you can appreciate the need to ensure that these standards and requirements are being followed through and put in place, and that those applicants that are coming into the ABC board are conforming with those requirements under law. But even just as a member of our community, what pertained to your interest in wanting to serve on this board, and what do you think you bring to the table that you can help this process so that we can continue to improve, upon the services that we provide our people, but at the same time making sure that the standards and requirements that are in place are actually enforced, especially in this area, that the ABC board oversees.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Well, first of all, I understand that the board lacks membership, and by me accepting the nomination or the request to be a member of the board, I think that will be a big step to improving the continuity of the board's responsibility, because I understand that they're not meeting a quorum, and they need assistance, and they need members. And I think that's a vulnerability there, a big vulnerability if there's no continuity with the board meeting to process, whether it be processing applicants or finding about issues that need to be corrected. And if that is not continued, then that's a big vulnerability, and it'll be shame on us as government officials to not address or not take it serious, and let's move on. If the board needs help, then let's move on. Let's do it. Of course, there's a process to select candidates to be board members, but I don't have the luxury to attend board meetings and watch what they may be lacking. But for sure, accepting this nomination to assist is going to be a big step for the board's existence and continuity. Thank you, Senator.
Well, certainly I appreciate your interest in stepping up, and your interest in providing public service to serve on the board. Certainly that's a very important concern if they don't have a quorum to meet, but I look forward to your contribution, and certainly there are improvements that can be made to the process. As as our chairwoman had mentioned, I mean, those are things that we are open to. If there are things you see that we can improve upon through legislation, or certainly just in your overall role in serving on this board, just to make sure that there's follow through and that, you know, the laws are being complied with, certainly with your background, I think that would be a tremendous contribution. So we certainly look forward to your serving on the board and wish you well with that, and appreciate your interest in providing public service at this time in your life. Thank you so much. And thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to ask questions and provide comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Brown. So I'd like to recognize Senator Tadigui, who has joined us here today. So if you have any questions for the nominee, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to my colleagues, and especially those who are on the Zoom here to testify. I see the Deputy Director, Maria is here, Marie, and of course the nominee, Edward Toves. I apologize for being late, Mr. Toves. I wanted to make sure I was here. Take a great interest in this board, especially some of the concerns that have come to my desk is you know, quite alarming because we're finding out that there is really, the board hasn't met, in fact, in the month of October. And the importance of the role of a member of this, of the ABC board is very important, especially to the business community. They rely on the renewals getting through as quickly as possible, or being approved for a new business. And time is money. So anytime that the board doesn't meet, you're setting back an individual and costing them quite a bit of funding, you know. So I want to ask you, whenever there's a meeting that's been scheduled, will you be able to make these meetings?
Yes, of course.
I'm very happy to hear that. And your family also supports you sitting on this board as well?
Yes.
And that's real important, because if you have the family backing you up, you know, that's going to make it easier for you too as well, to not only attend, but, you know, to take interest in this job, because this is a board that meets twice a month, every second and fourth Wednesday of the month. That's a lot of time, you know. And so I want to thank you for actually you know, sitting on this board. It's a working board. You know, some boards, it's, you know, once a month and, you know, talking shop, but this one is actually a working board. So I greatly appreciate you stepping up to the plate on this. Now, there was a law that was introduced and passed, introduced by my good colleague, Senator Brown. I don't know if it was brought up earlier by anybody. If I'm bringing it up again, I apologize, but I wanted to make sure that you understand that the importance of that the open government law is followed, you know, because anything that you pass in a situation that did not follow the open government law could be null and void. So it's so important to understand this law. Are you familiar with the law that I'm speaking about, Mr. Toves?
Yes, I'm familiar, but of course, I do not know it intimately, and that's another one that is going to be probably downloaded on my iPhone.
Okay, well, I know that one thing too that might be helpful is I've spoken to Mr. Camacho, who does assist the board, who you will be very involved with in getting information, providing the agenda as well. And I believe he has a timeline already put out in place, and it about 15 days prior to each board meeting that individuals must submit to the board their applications. So it's good to know these dates and times on the submittal, you know, the deadlines for these, so it becomes published. It's very important to know these numbers, and a lot of people now are realizing it's not the old, you know, jungle rules anymore. It's now set in law and standard that this must be met by this must be published and given the 5-day public notice, and the agenda must be published as well. Anything outside of that would not be able to get on the agenda. Mr. Toves. It's very important to know that moving forward. So other than that, I wish you the very best, and I want to thank you as well as your family for stepping up to the plate and taking on this particular board, because it is, again, I say, a working board. You are dealing with businesses who are providing jobs for our community, providing a living for that individual who's taken sacrifices in their lives to open up a business. It's not easy to run one. It's a 24/7, hour job. I mean, many of us had businesses ourselves, and it's very, very difficult at times and takes away from the family. So I appreciate.
Senator,
Yes.
is Mr. Camacho currently a board member, and what's his first name?
Mr. Camacho, I don't know his first name, but Mr. Camacho, Deputy Director, what is Mr. Camacho's first name?
His first name is Craig.
Craig Camacho. And
Thank
he's the one that, if I'm not mistaken, Deputy Director, can you explain his role to the board?
So basically Craig is our acting supervisor for the compliance branch, which does handle the meetings, the ABC meetings. And Craig pretty much facilitates the meetings. So that's it.
Thank you.
I believe I know Craig. He's in law enforcement. He used to be in the customs agency at one time.
That is correct.
Great. I know, and I know they had some problems with the PO, putting out the PO for the publishing of the latest board meeting, which did not meet the deadline. So unfortunately, they could not meet. The board could not meet. So this is an issue that I hope does not happen at all, because like I said, businesses are relying on the board to meet every second and fourth of Wednesday of the month. So.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Toves. Were you going to say something?
I'm already mentally working right now, Senator.
That's so good to hear, Mr. Toves. Very good. So again, to Jos Masi, thank you, Deputy Director, for your assistance on that. I appreciate it and wish you the very best. So Jos Masi, Madam Chair, for the opportunity to say a few comments and ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Tadegui. Yes, so thank you for those questions. The other thing I just maybe want to reinforce a question regarding conflict of interest. So as you know, Guam is very small. Even though you don't have a business in selling alcohol, there may be relationships that we have in the community. And I just maybe want to ask you, are you able to set aside your personal relationships when it comes to enforcing, laws of Guam? For instance, if, especially with alcohol, since as a board member, you'll be enforcing the alcohol laws. How are you able to separate your personal relationships with the position as a government board member to uphold these laws?
Of course, I could be fair and impartial, and I could even be strict. So, yes, I know several people that are into the business of either owning a restaurant or owning bars, and they've been doing that type of business many, many years before I've even been considered to be a board member. So there's no intent, there's no ill intent. If there's anyone who's thinking for me to accept this nomination. But yes, I could be fair and impartial and remind everybody that it's all in accordance to the law. So yes, that's that yesterday, Senator.
Okay. And has that been practiced in your previous employment? Have you seen that in action in your, acting as a marshal? I mean, if you can maybe think of an.
Can you elaborate regarding that?
I just want to, if there's a track record in your experience that can demonstrate that, that you were able to separate, I guess, your personal relations with, upholding the law?
Oh, yes. So, if there was any negative track record, I wouldn't be favorably retired right now. So, yeah, I'm able to enforce the law. There's one incident where one of my relatives had to be arrested, and I'm the one that placed him behind the bars, cell block. If that
Thank you. Yeah, that adequately answers. Thank you for that. The other thing is controversy. So how would you deal with controversy? Let's say there's a difference of opinion amongst the board members. What would be your way to address differences of interpretation, or if there was, basically a difference of interpretation of laws, or how would you address that difference of interpretation?
If there's a controversy between, for example, two board members regarding their interpretation of the law, of course, there's, to our availability, there's staff attorneys. There's the AG's office, who's the enforcement of the law, that can assist us in understanding and probably interpreting it better, and bringing that the findings to those that are in controversy regarding the interpretation of the law. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that response.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think that is my questions. And so I don't know, Deputy Director, did you want to provide testimony at this point, or?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm happy that Mr. Toves, and I do know Mr. Toves. He served with my husband, at the judiciary. So nice to see you again, Ed. I'm happy that he's stepping up to accept, the nomination, and I do wish him well. We could certainly use his input on the board, and look forward, to his participation. I do just want to also point out that we do have a scheduled ABC meeting tomorrow, 4 p.m. via Google Meets. Information was published, in accordance with the guidelines. But yesterday's Pacific Daily News, there was not a printed version, but there is an electronic version that was found. It's not the website version, but the electronic version. And we have confirmed that will suffice as far as notification. So there is a meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Okay, great. Senator Tydegui?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a real quick question, Marie. How many times is it published in a week? I mean, there's a 5-day notice.
So there was a 5-day notice, and then there's a 48-hour notice.
Okay, great. So
yeah, good. So we were concerned when PDN said that they were not able to print, the actual paper. But we sought guidance, and yes, we were able to confirm that there is a version, an electronic version that was able to be viewed. So we've met the requirements, and we're proceeding with the meeting tomorrow.
I know funding is difficult at some times, and having to meet that, but is there any opportunity to, it's not like the first time this has happened where they didn't print. It's happened in the past. I've heard where the newspaper wasn't able to get the printer went down or something. I hope that you can go back and get credit and add it to your account. So maybe you can ask me to give you credit for the next publishing. Okay.
Yes. And we also realize, we do know that we have other channels of communication upon which to relay the information. So, the radio and so forth. And we just need to ensure that the announcement is indeed made and perhaps recorded, so radio and television, yeah.
Also would be very helpful too is if you can publish it on your website as well. That would be very, very helpful. At least people
Yes,
can
ma'am.
see what's going on the agenda. If they don't have a paper, it's easier like I said, easier to go on the website. Okay, thank you so much, Deputy Director.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
All right, thank you, Senator Titleegee. I think being that there are there any other testimony or questions at this time? The hearing for the executive appointment of Mr. Edward Toves is duly heard. But before I adjourn, I would like to thank you, Mr. Toves, for stepping up to the plate. And we will definitely move forward with your nomination, hopefully in the upcoming session. So thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
So being that, you're welcome, thank you. Being that there are no other testimonies at this time, although we are still receiving written testimonies up until Tuesday, November 16th, it could be addressed, it should be addressed to myself, Senator Sabina Flores Perez, Chairperson of the Committee on Environment, Revenue and Taxation, Labor Procurement, Statistics, Research and Planning. It could be emailed to my office at office@senatorperez.org or dropped off at the mailboxes at the Guam Congress Building. So being that there are no further testimonies or questions, the committee now will adjourn this hearing. The time is now 9:36 a.m. Thank you so much and have a great day. Do as much.